lack of focus, lack of knowing the game plan. How do you summarize kind of what you saw out there?
No, I was disappointed because I felt like there was a lack of competitive fire. With the exception of about 2 5-minute spurts, our attention to detail was poor. I'm not sure if it's not knowing the game plan as much as, because if it's not knowing the game plan, then that's a whole nother.
There is so much about this game that needs to change, because I was going over some of the stats, I was going over some of the points and what was changing, and honestly, from the coaching to the players, this game needed to change completely. Now, I do understand that the Indiana Fever are a team that have faced a lot of changes, a lot of adversity. There's been so much inconsistency. There has not been able to be any time to find a rhythm, really. And just as the team was finding a rhythm with their defense, playing without Caitlin Clark, she comes back in. And, Caitlin Clark is what makes this team really fun to watch. And it was great to see the Indiana Fever succeed in those 2 games that they won.
This is it, bro. Like, it come down to Caitlin, bro. It is what it is, man. Caitlin, you gotta take a stand, man. You stand for something or you die. You'll fall for anything, man. Caitlin Clark, you gotta take a stand, y'all, and it's plain and simple. Caitlin Clark has to give the Indiana Fever an ultimatum. That's right. I've been disgusted all day about this piss poor, embarrassing performance from the players, and most of all from this coaching staff. Stephanie White, I'll say it again, you are a pure bum of a coach. Trash.
To watch a 19-point loss, Caitlin Clark's return, in which, since this is a lady we're talking about, it looks like Stephanie White has spaded Caitlin Clark, for lack of a better way of putting it. If it was a dude, I'd say neutered, but, you get my point. She has taken away Caitlin Clark's greatest asset, which is the creator and instigator of.
All right, y'all, so I'm getting concerned. I'm getting concerned about Caitlin Clark's future with the Indiana Fever, because it's not just that they're losing these games, it's the manner in which they're losing. It's the low shot attempts from Caitlin Clark. It's the low usage from Caitlin Clark. It's the having her in the corner, coming off these screens, getting the ball on the wing, and then her losing the basketball, keep getting the ball in these unfavorable positions. She is at her best when she's pushing it up the floor, coming off a screen with the Leah Boston. You're not even doing that anymore. It seems like the Indiana Fever aren't prioritizing Caitlin Clark's growth as a player, but what they're prioritizing is the system of basketball that Stephanie White has ran throughout the entire.
Did Stephanie White just hit the self-destruct button on the Indiana Fever? Because after that embarrassing blowout loss, Caitlin Clark fans didn't just react, they erupted. We're talking angry tweets, viral memes, and a level of backlash that could crash a server. This wasn't just a bad loss, it was a public relations wildfire, exposing a franchise in complete chaos. Stephanie's decisions are under the microscope. Fans are calling for an ultimatum, and the season is officially unraveling.
Stephanie White puts out a lineup yesterday. Erin McDonald starting at point. Kelsey Mitchell's at shooting guard. Caitlin Clark's at small forward. And I'm like, what is going on? Are we trying smaller lineups? I guess, okay, but are we doing a point forward situation? Is that what we're doing? We're doing a LeBron James point forward. No, the hell we ain't. We ain't. We're just running the same old, I want to say same old offense, but I don't know what that offense is.
The franchise is now at a perilous crossroads. They were handed a golden ticket, a once-in-a-generation talent who could make them the center of the sports world. Instead, they've allowed a stubborn coach to squander that gift, turning excitement into frustration and hope into anger. The choice is simple. They can either hand the keys to the Ferrari to the best driver in the world and let her set the sky on fire, or they can watch their franchise and the millions of fans she brought with her burn to the ground. The clock is ticking.
Stephanie White's not going to change. Stephanie White is not going to change. Stephanie White is not going to stop until her style of drag everyone down to their level basketball prevails. She's not going to change. And I do not think that we're going to see very much of Stephanie White, or very much of the Fever playing good basketball under Steph.
This is why the fans are demanding an ultimatum. The situation has become untenable. You cannot build a franchise by dimming your brightest star. Caitlin Clark has to march into that front office and lay it on the line. It's me or it's her. You're either going to build this team around me my way, or I will not allow you to profit off of my name any longer. She holds all the cards. She is the ratings. She is the ticket sales. She is the merchandise. The Indiana Fever without Caitlin Clark is an irrelevant franchise. The Indiana Fever with Caitlin Clark, but without Stephanie White, is a potential dynasty.
Down to this, you guys. As long as Stephanie White is here, we'll never see the true greatness that Caitlin Clark has within her. We'll never see it. Caitlin Clark has to march up to that front office and say, hey, look, either you guys are going to fix this and we're going to do it my way, or I will not put on this jersey and I will not allow you guys to profit off of me any longer. It's that simple. You want her or you want me? I'm going to pick the coach. I'm going to tell you what players I want on.
This leads to the unspoken, controversial question. Is this just incompetence, or is it sabotage born from jealousy? Stephanie White didn't just inherit a rookie. She inherited a global phenomenon who instantly became more important than her system, and everyone else in the organization. Now, every press conference is about Caitlin. Every headline is about Caitlin. And White's outdated, slow-paced system is being exposed under the brightest lights imaginable. It's painfully clear she is not comfortable sharing the spotlight. This isn't just about a coaching philosophy. It's about an ego that can't handle being the B-plot in a much bigger movie.
I don't know what Stephanie White is doing. First, the Golden State Valkyries just cracked the Indiana Fever. Like, there's no way to go around it. They're playing an envious style of basketball, I would say. Something that, you know, when I think of the Indiana Fever, I'm like, yo, they need to be running the offense like that. And I was absolutely baffled by the decision to start Ari McDonald, Kelsey Plum, and Caitlin Clark, and to play her at the...
And now, the fan base is in open revolt. The patience has completely evaporated. People went from live tweeting every Clark assist to Googling, can fans sue a team for coaching malpractice? The atmosphere in the arena has shifted from hopeful to hostile. The crowd doesn't even boo anymore. They just let out a collective, exhausted sigh with every broken play. When Clark finally pulls up for a logo 3, it's not a moment of celebration. It's a moment of relief. The only breath of fresh air in a room filled with stale, outdated playbooks. The trust between the fans and the coaching staff is completely broken.
Loves running a motion offense, and Caitlin Clark is not a player that plays within an offense. She is an offense. Caitlin Clark is more of a James Harden type. She's more of a Luka Doncic type. She's the type that you have to give the ball to and allow to do whatever she wants to, but Stephanie White is putting her in this box. There were so many plays where Ari McDonald would bring it up, and then Caitlin Clark would come off these screens that weren't even good screens. They weren't even good picks. And then you're seeing the Indiana Fever offense totally crash, or Caitlin Clark might not touch the ball until 9 seconds left in the shot clock because it's went through Ari McDonald, it's went through Sophie Cunningham, and then finally it goes to Caitlin Clark, and she has 9 seconds to actually make a shot. Caitlin Clark is obviously the reason why everybody's watching.
The coaching decisions have become so bizarre. It feels like a game of darts played blindfolded during an earthquake. The decision to bench Lexi Hull, one of the few players consistently bringing defensive intensity and hustle, is pure self-sabotage. Meanwhile, the lineups are a chaotic mess. At one point, we had Caitlin Clark playing small forward. Small forward! Are we trying to win games or conduct a weird science experiment on how to neutralize your best player? It's gotten so strange that fans are feeding Fever rotations into AI just to see if an algorithm can make sense of a plan that seems to have no logic. Spoiler alert, the AI is just blinking in disbelief, probably with a does not compute error flashing on the screen.
You guys don't know the story about Stephanie White. Why she likely is like this. You're wondering, like, how did she see Caitlin Clark play like this and decide, you know what, nah, we're going to build through Ari McDonald. Stephanie White, in the years of like 2015-ish, she went to Vanderbilt. And she tried to play an up-tempo offensive game, and they were terrible. They were terrible. She couldn't win a game. And then she goes to the Connecticut Sun. and says, screw offense. And by the way, that Connecticut Sun team are good offensive players. Bree Jones is a good offensive player.
But the real crime here is the criminal misuse of a generational talent. Stephanie White has taken Caitlin Clark, the most electrifying point guard to enter the league in decades, and put her in basketball witness protection. Instead of having the ball in her hands, orchestrating the offense, and bending the game to her will, Clark is being shoved into the corner like a glorified role player. She's running off screens only to watch the ball get passed somewhere else. This isn't just bad coaching, it's malpractice. You have a player who is an entire offensive system by herself, and you're treating her like a spot-up shooter who should wait her turn. You don't hand the keys to a Ferrari to someone and then tell them to stay in the passenger seat.
Well, Caitlin Clark returned today to the Indiana Fever, and it was not enough for them to pull off the win against the Valkyries. The Valkyries actually had control pretty much the whole game. Their largest lead, 23, was the Valkyries' largest lead, and 9 was Indiana's largest lead. Caitlin ended with 10 points, 4 turnovers. The only person that had more turnovers than her was Tiffany Hayes. She had 6, but she did have a plus in the plus minus. Tiffany did. Indiana did shoot better from the free throw line. They were 93%, and the Valkyries were 76%. But the Valkyries shot a better field goal percentage and three-point percentage.
Look, Caitlin Clark and Stephanie White clearly like and respect one another, right? But that doesn't mean they always see eye to eye. And I am beginning to suspect more and more that there's a bit of a divide between the way that they see the game and the way that they think the Indiana Fever should play. You can just hear what they have to say and connect the dots a little bit. Not to mention, it didn't go well against the Golden State Valkyries. That was obvious to everybody, of course.
It's like Stephanie White accidentally hit the sluggish preset on her offense and then threw away the remote. Watching the Indiana Fever is less like basketball and more like an endurance test. Every possession feels like waiting for a bus that's never coming. Slow, clunky, and painfully predictable. Fans didn't tune in by the millions to watch this snooze fest. They came to see Caitlin Clark light up the court, not to witness a low-speed scrimmage starring static screens and featuring no one moving. Right now, the Fever offense has all the rhythm of a buffering YouTube video in 2007, and it is agonizing to watch.